Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, we might as well segue into that right now, talking about Purdy and his down year. I know, everybody out there talking about Purdy being, a product of the checkdowns to Christian McCaffrey and the amount of players that they have on this team that are just so talented. And like the obviously him needing a contract in the offseason and all this talk and people saying like, he's going to be next up on the list of like the highest paid quarterbacks. And I want to kind of ask you, like, do you think Purdy is deserving of something like that?
No, and it was said really, really well. Not sure who it was on the broadcast last night, but it was essentially that, hey, Brock Purdy, right? Last year, off of last year, yeah, you pay that guy. This
Yeah.
year looks rather pedestrian in terms of like the actual output that's coming from him, as well as what's being received on the other side of this, right?
Yeah.
Now it's a difficult season. It's been a difficult season. I can't say, there was someone that said there was a reflection of what this guy was doing, right? And when you have Christian McCaffrey to run the ball and open those other lanes open up for you, that it changes exactly how you're going to play, right?
Yep.
Having that not being there, well, you are probably going to look a little bit more pedestrian than you otherwise did with those assets in those places. No Ayuk, no Christian McCaffrey. These are big, big pieces to this offense. It changes everything in terms of how you have to manage things as a quarterback. So do I think he's worth the value of what he was last year? No, I don't think he's going to get that same contract. Do I think he's absolutely a starter in this league? Yeah, I think he can be that
Yeah.
guy. But he's not big money worth, in my opinion.
No.
No, he's a mid-range quarterback in this league. Like,
Yeah, I would agree with you, but the contrasting topic here is like it's the leverage of the lack of quarterbacks in the league to begin with, and them having to, right? When you go to the
mhm,
table and you argue these things, it's the same thing we talked about prior to the season with like Tua and Trevor Lawrence and this and that. Like those guys, I think we can both agree were not deserving of being the highest paid quarterbacks in the league either.
mhm,
But what is a team to do if
mhm,
you're not going to pay them because somebody else is going to pay them that
mhm.
money, right?
Yep.
And I think when you look at this, it's going to be the same conversation with Brock Purdy. Is it just going to be a reflection of what the market demands essentially, as opposed to what he should actually get paid? Or is San Francisco actually going to put their balls on the table and be like, listen, pal, we've given you an amazing team to play behind here, and we need you to take this contract and we think you're worth this, because he's still going to get paid good money.
Oh yeah, he's
But
going to be up 40 million for whatever the case is, right? Like,
absolutely,
it's going to happen.
absolutely. But I think when you
But you
show
know
it,
what I do? I say, have a
what?
nice day, and I go and
Yeah.
try and get that Sam Darnold guy back on your team.
I think that's the other play that I've heard
Yeah,
too is, and then Sam's got the leverage now because he's the one that's got like, because he obviously is going to be looking for a new contract, especially after what
he's on a
he's
1
done.
year. Yeah,
But I think it all just comes down to like who's available.
yeah,
This is the big thing right now is the quarterback draft in the class that's coming in isn't great.
yeah.
And it's just like, does San Fran go, well, we'll just find another one of you in the fucking draft? Like, that's a ballsy move, right?
Mm-hmm.
But San Francisco's also got
Timeline
a
though.
lot of players
Yeah,
that are
timeline.
due up for contracts
Yeah,
here, especially on the defensive side as well. A lot of talented players. And
yeah,
then you got like Christian McCaffrey. We don't know what the shelf life looks like for him either.
yep.
I don't know what this team is going to look like.
No,
And
it is running out of clock. I will say that the window here isn't closed, but the door is shutting. Like, that's the way I'm looking at this right now with San Fran is, you got Kittle, Ayuk's a good young piece that you're going to go with. Debo is clearly having struggles here, and whether or not like he's still in that mid range, kind of like his opportunity is still in front of him. I'm not going to
right.
write this guy off, right, because of his age. Injuries have definitely been a struggle, but I'm not going to write it off. The other side of this, like it's kind of it's tight because CMC was a big part of this in the future. Now Jordan Mason's shown that he's capable. He got hurt, but he definitely showed that he was capable. So
It
this
seems like
team,
every running back that gets into the system has some sort of success, right?
yeah,
Like
well they do,
that's a
yeah,
which
for
is a
sure,
great thing when
yeah.
it comes to getting an RB in there.
Yeah. But yeah, let's like this team's just an interesting team. Is Purdy the guy there? Yeah, maybe. But could you lock in somebody else in a situation like Sam Darnold's played for this team? He's now clearly developed further past than what he was when he played for them, right? So I
Yeah.
think like if you're going for a guy that's a little bit more, I don't know. I know we said Brock Purdy at the beginning was like, Debo or whoever was going on about MVP. I definitely didn't agree with that, but
No, no shot.
he's is he replaceable? And I think
Yeah.
he
Well, I
is.
mean, like the other thing too is you it doesn't matter who you are. Every great quarterback in this league has had talent,
Yeah.
period.
Yep.
The Tom Brady's, the Peyton Mannings, the Aaron Rodgers, everybody in this league has had talent at some point, and you need talent to be successful in this league.
Yeah.
Like you can't get around that. And I think it's like when you look at his case, it's hats off to the 49ers for drafting and developing
Hmm.
talent on that roster. And that's what's made them so good. So do they put their balls on the table and be like, well, fuck, we're pretty good at this stuff. We're not going to give you a shit ton of money here. We got other pieces to pay, and we need to be able to manage this roster. And do you use Sam Darnold as kind of like the leverage point for these contract negotiations? But I also don't think like Darnold is going to be. This is his spot to make money. The
Hmm.
same way Baker was in that position and he got his contract. The discrepancy between what Purdy's going to get and Darnold's going to get, I don't think is going to be massively different.
No, not a huge
Um,
difference. No, that's what I
so
mean.
I,
Is it replaceable? Like, is it
yeah,
replaceable with a good like? Darnold's been playing like a top 8 quarterback in this league
yeah,
so far this year. Now Purdy was that last year. So
yeah,
can you get out that again? Is Darnold going to fall back and Purdy come back around? The one thing that I just kind of, as I'm going through this with Purdy's stats, is Purdy had a relatively solid strength of schedule that he was going up against last season. This is a completely different schedule with a
yeah,
completely different team that's coming out of it.
yeah,
And he's struggling to play against tougher defenses.
yeah.
He
He
did
is.
struggle in 2023 against tough defenses, had a great season overall, but this year has been a much harder schedule to play against, and he has not been the same guy. That coupled with all the injuries and all the things going on with this team, it's definitely put a little bit of pressure on him, a lot of pressure on him to perform. He hasn't done it. So,
Yeah. San Francisco is going to have a tough offseason here with all the moves they got to figure out. Because that's definitely a wrap on their season after losing that game. And then just kind of touching on the Rams side of things here. Rams, man, kid,